Do you want a better way to protect frozen foods from freezer burn? I'm Marcy McDonald with Pacific Northwest Suburban Homesteading, and this week we will use vacuum sealing to save time, preserve food freshness, and prevent damage and waste. Why vacuum seal when you can do home canning? Well, I think they both work as complementary to one another. There's things that I can put into canning jars that are shelf stable and they'll last a long time, whereas things that I put into vacuum bags will need to be frozen. The things put into jars, the jars are fragile, they can break. The stuff put into jars takes time. It loses some nutritional value from the cooking process because, especially with pressure canning, this is pressure canned, it has to be held under pressure for a long time, more than an hour for most of the recipes that I have, and that changes food. But it's not a huge problem, but it does take time. The vacuum sealing freezer bags are fantastic for quick and easy and done, so low effort. So you can take a batch of peppers, chop them up, put them in the bags, put them in the freezer. Whereas if you put them in a canner, the peppers will get cooked and they'll get mushy. So different methods for different applications. So what is vacuum sealing? Well, vacuum sealing is taking a container, in this case, a plastic bag, and you draw out all of the air, creating a vacuum, and then it seals it. So vacuum sealer. It's a great way of preserving food if you want to bring in things from the garden and freeze them. It's a good way of preserving leftovers or doing bulk repackaging of meat or dry goods. In this case, as a demonstration, Scott made up a big batch of rice, and I'm going to portion it out and seal it into bags so it'll be ready to go for breakfast, lunch, or what have you. Let's get started. Okay, so I have 1 cup of brown rice. Now I gotta put it in my container. Perhaps a bigger bag would be easier, or a wider cut bag, because the pre-cuts are nice. I like the pre-cuts, but I can actually custom size. And then that should be a little bit easier to put the rice in. So I just want to seal one end, so I set it to just seal. Now we wait. There's a lot of different brands and styles. Mine's different from my dad's, from Shauna's. There's all different kinds of makes and models of these things. Okay, so we got a good seal on that. Now I can dump my rice in here. Honestly, I thought this would be like white rice and it would just mold and just fall in there all nice and neat and tidy, but nope, but that's okay. So this is 1 cup. I'm gonna do some in 1 cup and then some in 1.5 cup. Flatten that out a little bit. And then stick it in here and get a good seal. So you can see it's pulling the air out of it and forming to the rice, and it should seal nicely. Now it's sealing. And there you go. 1 cup brown rice, ready to go. And throw it in the freezer. It's relatively flat, so they should stack nicely. And of course, the all important labeling. And with the date today. Okay. So the amount, the date, what it is. And we'll just continue with that. Let's see, how many markings does this have? So pay a little more attention to that this time because there's handy dandy little markings on the bag. Help us cut the same size. So that's 1, 2, 3, so 4 segments. Yeah, there you go. More of the same. I think you got the idea. I'm very excited to announce Pacific Northwest Suburban Homesteading's very first sponsor. Out of Air Vacuum Seal Bags has provided me with pre-cut bags in pint, quart, and gallon size, and 100-foot rolls of 8-inch and 11-inch bulk bags that I can cut to custom size. Out of Air has given us a discount code. It gives you 10% off, and I get a small commission. That commission will go beyond just the June 30th date if anybody's interested in buying them at a later date. And for anyone who's worried about sponsorships, definitely do your due diligence. Choosing to accept a sponsorship is a big responsibility. I'm never going to accept a sponsorship that I don't believe in the ethics of the company or I don't like the product. And even more important than that, I'm not going to accept a sponsorship for a company that is producing something that I don't think will actually benefit my viewers. These bags work in any vacuum seal machine. They have all the same features, plus they are thicker and they have a larger label space to write on. They're not flimsy like a lot of off-brands can be. They cost half as much as the major brand I used previously, and they are at least as good, if not better. And that's important because I believe in using my resources sustainably as possible. And that's part of the homesteading ethic. Use your resources well. And if you can get the same results with a product that I think is actually better for half the money, that is something that I can believe in. That is something that I think you will benefit from. I encourage you to give them a try if you're looking for an alternative to the vacuum seal bags that you're using. I've been using these bags for several days now, vacuum sealing a variety of different food items and non-food items, and I really like them. When done well in the seal holds, vacuum sealing is a great way to protect your food from freezer burn. It allows you to keep things fresh and in good condition. When it goes well, you have a nice solid packet, good seal, and it will last a long time. When it goes badly and loses its seal, you end up with snow inside the package. I don't know what happened here. This was one that my mother-in-law did for me to help me out. We have a little bit of freezer burn in there. We have a lot of that snow. So this, we don't want this. Here's another package. You can see the seal is gone because the stuff even moves around in there. Now it could have been because liquid got in the seal, the seal got punctured. It's really hard to say what happened. So sometimes it fails. But when it does it well, here's peppers that are in a perfectly good seal. Now, I probably would have done this flatter. This looks like my beloved's handwriting. The garden completely gets away from me sometimes. So I am so grateful that they're willing to help me out. But anyway, it doesn't really matter because flat or not, that only helps with stacking in the freezer. This one is still perfectly good and perfectly sealed. This one has been sealed since 2001. Now, we learned a new technique since then, because if you seal it when it's wet, then you can suck water and juice into the machine, which is gucky, and you have to clean it out. It also can interfere with the seal, as we've seen some of those peppers failed probably because they were wet when they were packaged. So what I'm doing now, I've learned since we did that, is you put them on a cookie sheet and freeze them first, then put them in the bag. there's a lot of people out there that say you don't need to do that. There's ways to avoid that. But to guarantee that you're not going to have issues with liquid fouling up your vacuum sealing, just put them on a cookie sheet and freeze them. You can do a straw and a zip bag to get most of the air out, and that's a good cheap alternative if you can't afford a vacuum sealer. But no matter how hard I try, you still get the snow and frost in there over time. This is stuff that's got through in the freezer. It's just barbecue meat ready for a meal. This is a pound of ground beef. If you're just going to do short term, it's not that big of a deal. You can also freeze things in containers, and that has its own advantages. And that's all well and good, but these containers are rigid and hard, and they take up a lot of space. Plus, it ties up containers that we normally would use, putting leftovers in the fridge to use within a short period of time. So absolutely, you can do this. But these have the same problems as the zip bags, and in that you get the frost forms in them over time. Can't really see on these because they haven't been in there that long. So these are still good. This is recent stuff. Because there's air in there and there's moisture in there, you get ice crystals. That's not really great if you're gonna have anything in there other than just a short period of time.
What is freezer burn? When frozen food is exposed to air, it loses moisture and becomes dry and leathery. A small amount can be removed and the rest of the food eaten safely. In general, freezer burn leaves an unappealing appearance, texture, and flavor. It can be prevented by tightly wrapping the food before freezing. The less air exposure, the less moisture can be drawn out. That is why vacuum sealing is so effective. It removes most, if not all, of the air surrounding the contents of the bag.
One of the main uses for vacuum sealing, other than garden produce, is repackaging bulk stuff. You can do dry goods and that sort of thing, but meat's a big deal for us because I really, really hate wasting, and especially when it comes to meat. Now, normally I like to get a big bulk package, but the store didn't have that this week in the type that we like. We use the much leaner meat for our cooking. I think just for simplicity's sake, and since I have them, I'm gonna start out with this. Let's see. These are 1 pound packages. I think we need to sharpen our knives. Be careful to not contaminate everything around me. Now, you could just stick these in the freezer, but they will be much better preserved if we vacuum seal them rather than leave them in these crummy styrofoam packages. Because normally I have a big package and then I divide it up and weigh it and do a pound at a time. But since this is already 1 pound, it makes that part easier. And we're only repackaging it because the crummy packaging will hold up and freezer burn's nasty. Oh, helps if you turn it on. So there's 1 package. Now I'll just drop these in the freezer until we need them. I'm here today with my dad, Mike Brewer, and he's kind of the family vacuum seal guru. He knows more about this than I'll probably ever learn in my lifetime. And he can show you some of how he does vacuum sealing and talk about some of the things that he vacuum seals. But anyway, I'm very excited to have him here because he's my guy. Right, Dad?
Okay, well, I'm gonna try these on sealing some
But you're right.
fish, and just a standard machine. That's yeah. The way that it seals these bags, it gives you a good indication where you can just look at it and know you have a good seal. If it doesn't get a good seal, it's not going to work. The way I usually seal stuff is thin so that it thaws fast. So if you're going to have dinner or whatever, and you need hamburger meat or whatever type of meat you have, you thin it out and it thaws out in minutes. I like to freeze my fish or whatever so that it's not gooey, and you put them in the bags, and you can vacuum pack them without filling your machine full of water. These are fixed bags already, and I normally don't care much for the fixed bags for just my own use. I would just as soon take them out of the roll. That way when I put them in the machine, I can save usually about 4 inches of material when I do that. Really pretty simple. But I can measure on how much I can use. The convenience of these containers, you can reel out what you need, and they're indexed so you can repeat the same thing over and over. But it seals down really well, but this is what I'm talking about as far as the part of the waste up here I don't like. With the one in the box, I can pull it out. And cut it off where it's just generally shorter, so you're not going to have a large waste in the bag, because you just cut what you need, which is nice to do it this way. The bags are handy, but I'm too conservative on wasting. I don't like wasting. That way I can just seal the bottom and make my own bag the length that I want. And I like using something to shim up the countertop to the machine. That way you don't need a big long tail of wasted material. I try to do as close as I can, so it just makes the product last longer. This is sealed. You got a good seal. You can look up to it. It's just right. And there's considerable savings in the amount of material. Save food and extend it by buying larger packages, economy packages, and then dividing it up. And even the store packs and stuff won't keep in the freezer very long, where these will. I've had fish that you can keep up to 3 years, and it's still just as fresh as I caught it. Now, I try to vacuum pack whatever I can. Leftovers is usually the key thing that I like to pack up, and even pie. I say that, how do you keep a pie? I put it in the refrigerator or whatever, and if it gets old, and then it's no good. So I slice the pie up, froze it, vacuum packed it. To take it out whenever I want then. So if I want a piece of pie, it's ready to go. I don't have to just let it thaw out, and convenience is what a lot of this is all about. And I've already wore out one food saver machine.
Vacuum sealing is a great way to preserve the freshness of a variety of foods in a quick and easy way. Special thanks to my dad for sharing some of his tips and tricks for vacuum sealing food for freezing. Next week, we will cover several other uses for vacuum sealing. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Until next time, be curious, keep an open mind, and never stop learning.